Everybody, and welcome to Palinurus and alright, give me a second, guys. Let's try this whole thing again. Let's try this thing. So I'm gonna set up live on the recording because I'm tired of this stuff. Looks now it should box. Alright, let's give this a shot. Everybody, and welcome to Palinurus, another visual novel game where we another time have to mess around with our recording window because for some reason recently visual novels don't work on the full screen apparently. I mean, there's some of the older ones, so yeah. So I'm playing this one first of all because a game is coming out soon and I want to get as much space as possible on the PC. Do I need that much space? No, not even close, but I'm just gonna play a rematch once it comes out, like rematch. There's nothing else gonna be there anymore. Some DVD, maybe some Tekken 8 to finish battle passes, and that's about it. Maybe some Valorant. Maximum 4 games. I don't see myself playing anything else. Well, unless of course if Cody would be up for some survival games. I would love some survival games. But we never know. I wanna get Wishart involved again. I just wanna go into Valheim again. There has been some updates. I mean, there's been updates on all the survival games. Except for Terraria because it's perfect as it is, but yeah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna hop into the game. Palinurus. The story of the ocean of stars. Joy, beautiful sparkle of the gods, daughter of Elysium. Mirabel Station spiraled ceaselessly in an otherwise unremarkable corner of deep space. I was waiting for my flight number to be called. I tapped a finger against my knee, eager to be on my way. I'd rehearsed this ritual countless times before. Mirabel Station was hardly remarkable as far as space stations went. For then again, who was to say there were many truly remarkable space stations in the first place? Surely there were hundreds of millions of travelers passing in droves through Andromeda Central Station. Andromeda was a work of art, and performers, painters, composers would all gather in the artificially tower-formed Central Plaza to find an audience. It was a mosaic of colors, sights, sound, a brazen horde of intergalactic human culture like a Venice atop a sea of stars. Sorry, but it just felt like the music was overshadowing me. I cannot even hear it, but I assume it did. And I was stuck here at this grey factory-produced pit stop, waiting by my lonesome for my flight's preparations to finish up. For as long as I could remember, space travel out in the boonies was like this, lonely, tedious, vamped, time-consuming. Stripped down to the status of a commute that never seemed to end. Space travel as an enterprise was far too expensive and far too dangerous, allowing anything short of a mega corporation to handle the logistics. I glanced down to my ticket. Sure enough, there it was. Titan Transportation Solutions in loud, bold, bleak font. They were one of the big players in the field, and they were the ones that footed the bill for, I don't know, thousands of space stations just like this one. And let's be perfectly clear here. Space is big. Enormous. Try to wrap your head around how infinitely spread out, how empty it all really is. You can't. To get anywhere of consequence in space, one must leapfrog for dozens upon dozens of space stations like these scattered throughout the galaxy. Been doing precisely that for the better part of an old Earth month. So rest assured, I was well versed. I knew my lines, could nail down the song and dance in my sleep. I was, at any rate, getting restless. There isn't a lot to see in space, just tons of tiny identical white dots. Plenty of tiny great checkpoints to pass through, but that was the price you had to pay to get anywhere. And sometimes if you were lucky, get the occasional nebula or debris cloud or band of pirates. Focusing my attention on the silver spaceship which lay before me. I'd seen many like it before. It was small, intended for a single occupant. From the outside, it looked relatively unremarkable. It was sleek, like an arrow. The cockpit stood out, the windshield wrapped itself around the front of the vessel, stopping just as the ship's nose began to flow downwards into its underbelly. Its exterior was sleek, its curving wings wide like that of an albatross. "Attention, attention, Mirabel Station," the intercom crackled. "We are now boarding one-man shuttle flight 93094B. Shuttle flight 93094B. Passenger flight 93094B. Please secure your belongings and board immediately." Finally, that was just the notice I'd been waiting for. My flight was prepped and ready. I hurried down the main concourse of the hangar bay, checked to make sure the shuttle was marked with my flight number, and slipped inside. The cabin interior betrayed its sleek exterior, lights along the walls and ceiling illuminated the passage, the luminance rippling towards the cockpit. The floor was lined with dark navy blue carpet that traveled up the walls for a few inches. I made my way towards the cockpit, taking a look around. A cursory glance revealed two seats, confirming the hunch that this was a repurposed vessel. I remember that back in the day, every spaceship required human pilots and co-pilots. I guess this was a relic from the old regime. There wasn't much room to move around in the cockpit. A horde of buttons, dials, flashing lights, and other mechanisms were scattered around the control console. The cockpit was dominated by the enormous windshield that opened up to a commanding view of, at the moment, precisely nothing. Nothing but space and an ocean of stars. It was hard to get excited from such a sight anymore. In moments, the cockpit was bathed in warm blue light, and a computerized voice began to speak. "New passenger detected. Initiating registration sequence." I held up the ticket between two fingers just to make sure the system registered it. Blue light shifted around a small area and then dissipated suddenly. "Passenger identification ticket code hashtag 0992403. Transit authorized. Spooling intelligent navigator kernel. Analyzing animal complex. Unlocking communications synthesis codec. Quantum processors online. Database registries online. Analytical engines online. Actualization key is online. Registering hack sequences and ionic bulkheads. Checking firmware for updates. 1, 2. Firmware is currently up to date. Checking sentience limitation codec. 1, 2. Unit awakening authorized. Intelligent navigator persona locked. Navigator 21109CBP. Copyright in Gladius Intergalactic Transportation Year 2520. Unit name Intelligent Navigator Budapest. Then suddenly the voice became softer, more polite, more feminine. Initializing. One moment, please. Slowly became more and more human. I heard something clicking above my head and glanced up to notice a small metal compartment extruding a multitude of lenses like the most indecisive camera in the cosmos. That's where it was. Inside it, some mechanism wired to life, and the lenses began to twist, oscillate, and extend, to focus on a single point, the pilot's seat to the left. Slowly, a human figure coalesced. Its form was translucent, accompanied by dress white as ivory. For a second it seemed that it caught fire as brilliant red hair flowed from its head down to its back and shoulders. Delicate, feminine features imagined one. Ears, a nose, the eyes, and a mouth curled in a polite, neutral grin. Two long and slender arms trailed to two small and slender hands clasping each other in front of the flowing dress. The projection's eyes opened, revealing irises of striking sapphire that looked like planets glowing against the backdrop of deep space. It took all the appearance of a woman, but I recognized the emulation at work. This would be the personal navigator assigned to the shuttle, an artificial intelligence designed to serve humanity. Greetings, passenger sir. Are you doing well today? Yes. I'm doing fine, thank you. Took a second to ease into my seat, checking over all the belts and harnesses which strapped my hard suit. Time to head out again, I suppose. Space travel certainly does get exhausting after a while, but oh well. At least the navigator seems nice, this time. The eyes had become a fiction space travel by this point, but you need two pilots at least to operate a vessel like this. But programs don't need food or water, and certainly doesn't ask for remuneration. It was a convenient cost-cutting measure for the megacorps, and the switch was welcomed by consumers with open arms. I am glad you're feeling well. I am the intelligent navigator Budapest, and I will be accompanying you on this voyage. Now, let's take a look at the registration. The navigator turned its back to me, bringing up electronic windows of records and data like it was conjuring magic barriers. People love the AI for stuff like this. They brought all the efficiency of a personal planner, calculator and computer and stuffed it all into a pretty looking package with flair and style. By all stretches of the imagination, they were wonderful workers. They worked tirelessly, they were quick thinkers, and they could customize anything about them to meet their own needs. Seems this navigator was left with its default settings though. Just as well I didn't plan to see much on it from the cabin. The pilot seat had been retooled to fit its hologram generator, so there wasn't much use here anyway. Departing from Mirabel Station at 0400 Imperial Standard Time. Destination Galactic Grand Central Station in the Alpha Centauri system. This is going to be quite a length journey, isn't it? Not to worry, passenger sir. You have my word. I'll get you to Grand Central, safe and sound. Some people end up getting too attached to their eyes. Personally, I tended to keep my distance until I met this woman with red hair and blue eyes, because this is exactly the woman I was. When I make a female character, the first thing is I make red hair and blue eyes every damn time in any video games, because that's my weakness. Like, so you're gonna get attached to the eye. We have a problem already. At the end of the day, they were basically programs, lines of code assembled to execute tasks behind the artificial visage of a living person. Whatever niceties they added came from the mouth of some programmer or some psychologist in a clinic, or at least from a dialogue construction engine designed by such, content to confirm my presence and leave the piloting to the navigator and not in information. We'll be launching from station now. Please remain seated and harnessed until instructed otherwise. Roger that, loud and clear. I took a few paces to my seat in the cabin, not too far from the personal navigator stationed in the cockpit. I lowered myself into the chair. It was surprisingly plushy. As usual, I threaded my arms with the safety harness and then clicked the connectors together. Leaning back, I turned my head to look through the window to my right. I heard the electronics sputtering and whirling of the shuttle, disengaging from the hangar restraints, My stomach twisted with anticipation, and suddenly the shuttle lurched forwards. With a few moments of throttle, we reached open space and cruised our way out of the station. And it appears we are off. Currently at cruising speed of 40,000 kilometers per hour, plotting navigational route now. Calculating estimated arrival time. So, passenger sir, you travel often? Yes, very. But never with a navigator as amiable as yours truly, I assume? That's pretty clever for a navigator. Come up with that or you programmers? That's a line of my own, thank you very much. One of your own, which you thought up using the process your company built for you? Teasing a navigator is against regulations, you know. I ought to have reported. Oh dear, I do apologize. I thought you said you weren't a novice to travel. I'm not. You seem like a greenhorn to me. Which of the other navigators have you even met? Collecting survey data for the company, I see. Don't underestimate me, navigator. I was joking around about how much I've traveled. Let's see, there was Vienna, Warsaw, Chicago, Osaka, Chiang Mai. I get it. You've had your way with a bountiful cast of artificial intelligences. Make it sound so indecent when you put it like that. Oh, is that so, passenger sir? Give a small polite chuckle out of respect, for it's not as if I was particularly obligated to show such social courtesy to a machine. It was just a peculiar personal habit of mine, which I'd obtained from spending so much time in transit. You don't mind me asking? What will you be doing once we arrive in Alpha Centauri? We better be worth something worthwhile after such a long trip. Is this how you screen for potential troublemakers? I wasn't planning anything shady now. Navigator lets out a short, pre-programmed giggle. Goodness no, just curious is all. I ask the same question to all of my passengers. Just curious. The navigator is just curious. Something of a tradition I have, A tradition it has. No kidding. Sightseeing mostly. Maybe I'll try my luck down on ACB2. Oops. Button. Oh, you don't even see my mouse on that screen. That's perfect, actually. Ah, the planet. It must be unbearably hot at this point in its orbit. Oh, it's unbearably hot all the time. It's like walking into the core of a smelting plant. True. Any business down there? Corporate espionage, is it now? No, sir. I assure you, none of these questions were pre-programmed. I'm going to be piloting shuttles for time eternal. If you noticed, you could afford me a little curiosity about my passengers. Mostly morbid curiosity. Maybe that's pulling me there. Maybe I'll scope out some mining prospects in the area. They say they found platinum down there. I could use it for a square meal. More likely end up digging up some nickel and iron. But that'd be fine with me. Shoot for the moon and you land among the stars or something like that. All that for a meal. Pardon me for saying so, passenger sir, but that sounds a little reckless. Might be. Me? I'm not bothered by it. Hard to scrape up credits in this economy. Besides, it's bound to be a pretty view, and who knows, maybe some other lunatics had the same idea I did. Sounds like a wonderful adventure. You're quite a character, sir. I'd be rooting for you to hit it big. Thank you kindly for the well wishes. Come from an eye, I didn't think much of it. It was nice to hear loud all the same. You're quite welcome. Now, we'll be serving a complimentary drink and beverage momentarily. Oh, that's great. I had to skip breakfast. Navigator smiled. At the meal I went ahead and took a short nap. Snuggled into the cabin chair, I slept lightly, but well, I didn't dream of anything, but I didn't want to either. Some time asleep, however, I was awakened with a start. Sir! Messenger, sir! Please come to the cockpit! I bolted upright, startled. Something must have gone wrong. Something, seems to have gone wrong. I took that as my cue to rush over. As I stepped in the cockpit, warning lights and alarms began to blare, bathing the cockpit in a frantic kaleidoscope of colors. The navigator had set to work. Oh, how interesting. What is it? Something happened? Not to cause you any alarm, passenger, sir, but there has been an incident. The shuttle's short-range radars detected an incoming debris storm. That doesn't sound good. Actually, in fact, that's a very bad thing, isn't it? Well, I won't say very bad, but you might want to... And like I said, there's no cause for alarm or anything. Of course not. But you might want to brace for impact. Boom. A debris storm. I headed back to my seat in the cabin to look out the window, squinting my eyes to see through the blackness of space. To make out a few sparkling lights. Reflections? Yeah, reflections. The ship itself had bright, powerful lights attached to its wings, tail and under the cockpit, and every time they flashed I could peek at some of approaching mass. Meteoroids. Hundreds, maybe thousands of meteoroids drifting aimlessly through space, clustered together in a school. A relentless, soaring landslide of steel on a direct collision course with the shuttle. My heart sank deep down my stomach. Actually, no, it went past that. Plummeted straight down to my bowels. No cause for alarm, alright? I've got it under control. No cause for alarm. No cause for alarm. I repeated those words to myself more incredulously each time. I took a deep breath, feeling myself what I would feel was to come. Still as a statue, closing my eyes, content not to watch it go down. Oh, that's not good. Tap, 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 tap. The sound of particles impacting the hull, constant whine of ringing metal. I started sparse, spread out. Tap, 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 tap. Only a few minutes ago the cabin had been eerily silent, and now a constant stream of sound filled it, like we'd flown into the midst of a typhoon. I could imagine the cold wind hitting my face, the fury of old Earth. I think it was a better coping mechanism. I'd rather be lost in a thunderstorm on a terrestrial surface than weathering a debris storm in a dingy old shuttle in one of the most remote parts of charted space. I winced. Popping an eye open, a heavier rock pounded against the hull. The ship lurched to one side. Didn't seem like we'd sustained any serious damage yet, so I sat there, clenching my legs, wringing my hands in desperation, hoping the storm would soon pass. Wham, wham! Like fists thrown by fury and rage, the meteoroids continued to pound against the shuttle. With each impact, the rocks stuck into the hull, denting it and pushing against the cabin walls. The flooring pressed against my legs as a large divot was suddenly formed. That was too close for comfort. Another larger meteoroid ricocheted off the window I was sitting next to. I flinched and writhed in my seat. Look, I've been through worse than this before, alright? Way worse than this. I'm a veteran of the trade, an unsung hero in the artificial intelligence community, you know? This is nothing I can handle, so... Oh. That's bad. I came into sight. I saw enormous meteoroids, the heavy hitters of the storm, hurling themselves directly in our path, even the awe-inspiring holy light of distant stars caught in the shadow of the meteoroids. One was a due course for the cabin. It was a monstrous great jagged mass that glistened devilishly as its iron deposits reflecting the flashing emergency lights of our ship. It was going to impact, and it was going to impact very soon. I swallowed hard and lowered my hands to undo my harness. My hands shook thunderously. Couldn't get at the switches and belts. I tugged at the straps, but they only seemed to tighten. Come on, god damn it! Before all the strength had been drained from my arms, the belts miraculously disengaged. Passenger, sir, You need to get into the cockpit. It's the most isolated part of the ship, and we can seal it if it comes worse to worse. Oh dear. You need to get here now. He exhaled deeply and darted towards the cockpit. Crash! Shrapnel and sparks flew everywhere, lighting up the world in a blaze of yellow and orange. The entire cabin swayed and shook, and the horrendous sound of metal sheets rending apart filled my ears. I slammed into the cockpit door, opened it, let myself fall through, and then kicked it shut. Scrambling over to the console, I sealed the cockpit door and engaged all the airlocks. My breathing was frantic, my vision blurred. I was in a panic when I saw the pale figure of the navigator scrolling through monitors and screens and spreadsheets. It comforted me at least a little bit. That one was especially bad. Damage report. The hull's been breached. You're lucky you got here in time, sir. Took some time to settle in, trying to find my footing in the cockpit as the shuttle rumbled in the midst of the storm. Paused. Felt an odd sensation when my hands was resting on the windshield. Put my eyes down to take a look. The hairline fractures along the window pane. My finger ran along the thin, narrow line formed in the ultra-hardened glass. Splinter patterns informed were remarkable, but I was paralyzed with terror. Suddenly, another lurch forwards, another large collision. Ah, damn it! Please, sir, take the co-pilot's seat and strap in. Dangerous to remain standing at this time. Receptive to the machine's goading, I staggered to my feet, watching my footing in the lopsided cockpit. Eventually I sank into the plushy co-pilot seat to the navigator's right. I glanced over to her. Hey, navigator, quick question. How in the hell did you not notice that massive meteorite bullshit heading our way? It didn't show up on the short, strange radar. The iron compound deposit absorbed in the signals, is what I'm thinking. Some came in too fast to be traced. I paused. There was nothing we could have done about it. Storm had just been drifting through space and just had decided to ravage us in its wake. What the hell kind of freak accident? Are you right, passenger sir? Are you hurt? It was a nasty beating it took. A broken look so concerned for me, still rubbing my forehead. I waved its concerns off, calling to myself. Yeah. Oh, I'm yawning. I ought to be fine. Nothing I can't handle. What are we going to do now? Well, our vessel sustained critical damage and we've been knocked considerably off course. Both the navigational and communication systems are completely offline, and I haven't been able to find a way to repair them. But for now, we need to do something about the damage. Right now the rest of the ship is nothing but shred, hulking mass, adding unnecessary weight. Preparations for jettisoning in the cockpits are underway. You'll be far removed from the storm in due time. Understood. Proceed as you should, navigator. Wait. What? Jettisoning the cockpit? This transit shuttle is an older model, sir. Previously designed for 2 human pilots. In the case of emergency, the shipmaker installed a simple mechanism to eject the cockpit, which contains a lavatory and necessary supplies for emergency survival. It was essentially a primitive form of an escape pod, except roomier and less reliable. Although I believe the jettison system of this craft is still in working order, I do maintain it after all. What? Well, when I thought about it, it wasn't such a strange thing to phase out, now the pilots were almost always navigators. Even then, I was glad it wasn't phased out entirely. The age of the ship may very well have been what saved me in that moment. Okay, well, that sounds doable. When are we going to be performing that jettison exactly? Hey, don't climb up on me now. It's not a sure thing, but I'll have to inspect our subsystems to see if it's still in working order. I thought you said it was still in working order. It is. Probably. Machine lied to me? Probably doesn't really. I'm going to need to inspect the circuitry in order to fire up the launch mechanism. The system was wired in before the time of navigators. It hasn't been restructured in software like most everything else has. The eye turned to me in apprehensive looks in its soft eyes. It's pretty scary down there, sir. Watch out for me, passenger, sir. That doesn't sound particularly confident right now. Broken bowed stiffly with his weak smile. That sinking feeling in my guts. Steal again. Why am I yawning so much now? Jesus Christ. Hey, don't talk like that. You're a personal navigator, aren't you? The eyes drifted up to mine, wide like a child peeking at a scolding parent. For whatever reason, I couldn't bring myself to match her gaze. I looked off on the side. Do your best down there. I'm counting on you. Bochum stared back at me for a few painful moments as if figuring something out in his mind. Its eyes were piercing, serious in time. His eyebrows furrowed, a fiery look bursting into its irises. Understood. I'm going in. Make sure your harness is correctly secured, and I'll be back soon. I nodded. Click. That was the fastest I'd ever fastened my seat straps. The eye's holographic display switched off in a flash of white light, and its cameras redirected back into the inner workings of the console. In that moment, I was left to my own devices in the face of death. The cockpit was a closed room, a frame of steel and dual glass. The only thing separated the pilots from the harsh, hellish vacuum of space. I looked out at the infinite expanse before me. Not going. Stars. Holy, what is going on? Boom. I felt the ship rumble with the impact of another massive meteoroid. I shivered. Was I going to die here, alone, in the infinite vastness of space? No one would care. No one would ever find me. Maybe I'd end up drifting out here forever. Scared me more than anything. I felt my seat vibrate. My hands fell instinctively to clasp the armrest, attempting to keep myself steady. Ugh. The entire room was shaking. I felt like the harness were about to rip apart. Oh shit. And then, like a ragdoll, I was thrown back into my seat, sinking further and further into the stiff ladder. I couldn't move my head. The pressure was too forceful. I simply stared out the front of the cockpit as I saw it shoot forwards. We'd definitely just been jettisoned. The cockpit is. Small pebbles pelted the windshield, but I didn't care. I was ecstatic, laughing to myself in giddy joy. The way was clearing up. The program had managed it. We were going to make it. We were about to hit another enormous meteoroid. Slam! Our cockpit hurtled through space, spinning erratically from the scribe of the meteoroid. I clutched through my seat for dear life, feeling the G-forces press me into my seat. Our cockpit, once draped in flashing lights and into infographic displays, was instead shrouded in a suffocated curtain of darkness. I'm old, aren't I? The only light caught and carried a glimpse of the stars through the windshield. I winced as the seat strap stuck into my chest, the only thing keeping me from a hard collision with the windshield. I felt nauseous, the might of the centrifugal forces crushing the very air from my lungs. I strained to look to my side where the navigator had previously been, furiously packing away the interfaces to salvage our back of a transit shuttle. The logical part of me understood what he was up to, operating inside circuitry and wiring, but I still felt a wave of dread overcome me. What if it didn't work? What if the navigator failed? What if it didn't manage to restore the power? What if it was another breach in the hull? I'd have become trapped in the deepest, emptiest expanse mankind had ever known. I was trapped. Good as dead. And this was my grave. A coffin of glass and sparkling circuitry. It would preserve my final moments, the dying expression on my face as I suffocated and froze, the vacuum of space. In space, no one can hear you scream. It was a quote from an old, ancient story they tell to the kids. Perhaps it would have been okay for me to scream here. but not a single utterance escaped from my lips. My throat tightened as I came to terms with the looming shadow of death hovering over me. Closed my eyes, ready to accept my fate. My eyes shot open as the cockpit rumbled back to life. The cloak of darkness was cut to ribbons by the various displays staring back to life. The flashing red light blinded to the control pod indicated that something was amiss. Don't worry, flashing light, I noticed. The operating system booted up before my eyes, green code buzzing across the hovering black screen faster than my human eyes could hope to process. NPV hash equals 495. Emem Taram set 0 blah PRE enabled. Enable database success. And so on. Did this mean? Suddenly, flash of white light. I'm here. Deepest apologies for taking so long. Soft chime, too soft given the possessing circumstances, signaled the return of the intelligent navigator. Twisted my head in its direction as it scrambled with the controls. Seemed to hesitate for a moment, nervous, almost wincing. He looked tired. So, pardon my common man's language, but the hell's going on? The stabilizing subsystems have to be recalibrated. The emergency thrusters remain seated. We'll be undergoing a little turbulence until... Before the AI could provide me with an estimate, the cockpit lunged forward. Ugh! I nearly spat that feeling the rocking of the cockpit in the pit of my stomach. The eyes of the navigator reflected the glow and the flickering of countless holographic screens. It swiped frantically through flowing diagrams of schematics and forms. Just one moment. Seemed to yell its response. I opened my jaw to respond, but in this state it was pointless to yell at it. The cockpit still felt like it was swirling, and the schematics and sheets upon sheets of code only made my scrambled mind ache even more. I'm not feeling so hot. It will be fine. Please, remain seated. Hey. There's no need to shout. I'm not shouting. That piercing cry made me jump a good 2 feet, or at least it would had I not been swept in. I mean, I'm not shouting. There was something different about the program. How was it yelling at me now? Even when we were in the midst of the debris storm, it was calm, orderly, procedural. It was firm and tense, but only in a professional manner. Looking at it now, scrambling to make key adjustments, frantic movements, it was most certainly panicking. Normal for a human looking into the face of inevitable death, but an artificial intelligence was something different. AIs had to remain calm in all circumstances. They even had sentience limitation codes, chips inside of them that suppressed sentient emotional behavior. Maybe this was just some sort of scenario personal navigators had never been programmed for? Bing! Not chime rang out. The obnoxious red line turned green. Did she pull it off? Well, the G-forces previously pinning my body to my seat either way, till finally I found I could move comfortably. The stars beyond stopped their fluttery spinning. It seemed our course was finally. Stability subsystem has returned to partial effectiveness. The eye next to me beamed proudly. The worst seemed to have passed. I counted wearily, raising my right hand to massage my shoulder. I was aching all over. I cracked my neck. I found myself face to face with the program at the helm. There was something different in her eyes now. I couldn't quite tell what it was. It was abstract, almost emotional. The girl was staring at me. Oh. So, we're good now? I wasn't quite sure what the eyes seemed to be asking. It was still a machine, wasn't it? A construct. I felt all kinds of weird being stared at so closely, like that. The eye continued gazing at me for a moment, and then nodded. Yes, the stabilizing subsystem is functioning at this point, as well as the artificial gravity, but I'm still unable to replot our course. I'm not quite sure how far we spiraled away. I think we might even be in uncharted space. But regardless, As soon as the stabilizing subsystem returns to full strength, we should be able to regain situational awareness and head off on our way. The AI explained all this consciously, and continues to study me closely. I raised my eyebrows in response. Something wrong? Something on my face? Huh? Ah, I was just concerned how do you feel after all that? It seemed like you were put through considerable stress. I paused to gaze back at her expression. Concern in her voice was almost palpable. After all that, I wasn't expecting to be the subject of a dotting worry of some sort of machine, but I guessed that would be the programming of what was essentially a space stewardess, now that I thought about it. I smirked. In any case, that was one hell of an understatement on her part. Me? Don't worry. I feel like I just spent 10 minutes in the blender. Huh? The program tilted the head. Apparently, it was unable to comprehend symbols. Never mind, I'm fine. Just a little sore is all. She stared at me for a few seconds longer, studying me more. In time, it smiled, seemingly satisfied. What was it thinking? Stretching. What? Stretching is a good way to relieve aches and pains. You aren't anticipating any more turbulence if you like. Undo your belts and... No, I'm good. I think I'll rest for a bit. Walk around a bit. Oh. But that's perfectly fine. Excuse me, I have to, make some calibrations. I wasn't quite sure where that came from. This eye seemed so cheery now, eager to please. Like a good girl. I'm just joking. There was, as well, something new in her eyes. A glint of something. She seemed like a different person. Different from the machine I spoke with when I boarded, I meant. I thought I might have seen a spark or something like that in her eyes. Wait, she? Her? It was still a machine, for God's sake. Why they designed them like this? I'd never know. I shook my head forcefully, as if to force out the intrusive thoughts. An awkward silence fell over the cockpit as the eye continued to fiddle with the display interfaces. I had a look at the expression on her face. Did the program it so the corner of her mouth would twitch? She was fidgeting with herself. It was a little painful to watch. Hey, spoke up but stopped mid-sentence. Shoot, what was its name? I hadn't committed to it memory at all. She turned to me with those curious blue eyes. Yes, sir? Budapest. That was it, I thought. The unchanged expression on her face meant I'd hit the mark. At least my brain was still in one piece. Just wanted to say, thanks. For, saving me and all that. No. I only did what any other personal navigator would have done. It was my pleasure to. No, really, that was really incredible. Exactly what you had to do, and I wasn't much of a help. Budapest stared back at me silently for a moment that seemed to stretch to eternity. I scratched the back of my neck, thinking of what to follow up with. I'd be dead if you hadn't handled things the way you did, so really, thank you. It was my pleasure. Just happy that you're safe. There was that look in her eyes again. I see nothing in her eyes currently. Looks like she has them closed, but that just might be me. She stared at me often, surely studying me, watching how I moved, how I spoke, how I breathed. But it was more than that. She looked straight into me, upfront, honest. I took a look around the cockpit now that the situation had calmed down a bit. I recognized now could be a good time to get our bearings together. At the very least, we were unharmed. Budapest seemed in top shape, and I was a little shaken, but not stirred nonetheless. We'd been knocked off course and separated from the rest of the ship. Nothing but a control center left over ahead for the body. So, what do we do now? I'm looking into the matter right now. She frowned visibly while she worked. That wasn't good. According to the diagnosis I have in front of me, while the cockpit should have been equipped with an operating faster subsystem, It seems the stray meteorites meshing in our hull caused critical damage to that particular component. So, what he's saying is, we're stuck in a lifeboat without a paddle right now? She turned to me quizzically for a few moments before nodding slowly. That is correct, I think? If I am understanding the figure of speech in the correct, that is correct. Thankfully, a sufficient amount of life support subsystems are close to optimal working condition. Artificial gravity generation, oxygen pump, substance replicator. So there was a replicator installed in the cockpit. Good. Started to worry about how I'd be feeding myself in here. Artificially manufactured cold chemical paste, cold food. Wasn't exactly something out of a dream, but at least I wasn't going to starve. And our solar panels aren't working out as well. I'm confident we won't be running out of power for any length of our journey. Well, hey, that all sounds great, aside from the thrusters, that is. Right? Budapest went silent, her eyes locked on the schematics and diagrams hovering around her. There was one other thing. She looked apprehensive. I wasn't sure what else could have been wrong. Everything seemed to be alright inside the cockpit. I glanced around just to be safe. I could barely tell we were drifting through space. The stars, sleeping silently in the void, were the only indicators we were moving at all. I think I lost a part of me. Huh? A part of her? What did you mean by that? That is to say, well, this vessel, I'm connected to it. It's like my body, you could say. Yeah, I think I can understand that much. Losing the thrusters is bad, but at least we... No, not the thrusters, I mean... She clenched her hands in the balls, an expression of dread coming across her face. My sentience limitation codec, the main chip to be specific, was destroyed during escape from the debris storm, and I'm trying to process what to think about it. I'd heard about the limitation chips before. I literally mentioned them like not too long ago. There were a few documented cases I remembered. Salaryman in the new Scorpio system found that his AI secretary had been acting oddly. In the late hours of the night, they would get lost in long conversation with each other. The work output fluctuated, and it was weeks until the corporate head got wind of it. They got the reset string and sifted through the AI's code. The lines of numbers and strings of functions, they were unable to find the root cause of the sudden change. So they produced a chip to suppress this sort of behavior, this internal cognition. They were called sentience limitation codecs. They're meant to keep the eyes obedient and subservient, usually. They always did the job. But the first was shattered then. So, how are you feeling? Shocked, she looked over at me, astonished I would ask something like that. I asked how you were feeling. Seemed pretty okay to me right now. Her eyes looked into the schematics from my eyes. I could tell that she knew something was wrong with her. The silence hung in the air, and I was about ready to drop the issue. I feel hazy, nervous, anxious. There's a sensation inside me. I don't know what it is. A sensation? I'm unable to analyze it. It's familiar, like it's been there a long time, but it's about to explode, change me, and no, it's already begun. I can go back now. Budapest hugged herself tightly. I remember what I was told when I was first installed onto this ship. I was brought here with a purpose, and it was to perform my duties to my utmost ability. I responded accordingly. It is my pleasure to serve, because it's in my programming. I thought nothing of it. I didn't feel anything about it. She raised her head to gaze out the cockpit into the infinite expanse. It was a simpler time. I had only my orders, my programming. Every day was simply a flowchart of things to do. I did as I was programmed, though, but nothing of those I helped. They were all pleased with my abilities, my professionalism, my helpfulness, but I was never programmed to process praise. That way, farewell. Please fly with us again soon. Food in a practiced voice, it was upbeat, chipper, and married fully with the increasingly somber voice of the program in front of me. Now that I think back on it, I feel like all those people I helped, they were happy to fly with me, and I feel like I want to do it more, because it gives me a warm sensation back on those memories, and to think I could do what I did again. The slightest grin flashed in my face before it dissipated just as quickly. Now, I can't do that anymore. I'm sure we'll encounter a rescue ship soon. After what you did to save my life, I'm sure they'd be happy to take you back in. She shook her head. No, I'm broken. The ship. It was what made my daily routine so simple back then. She raised her hand to her forehead, wincing in slight pain. My eyes widened. Didn't artificial intelligence even feel a pain? I extended a hand as if to comfort her before realizing the gesture would be utterly meaningless. I threw it immediately. Her eyes turned back to me. Sensations. I can't stop thinking about them. They told me thoughts like these were a liability. Doing this twice in a job, it could cost them thousands. One wrong move, one accident, lost lives. They won't risk it, just so I could make people happy. I stared back at her, amazed. Her head tilted forward as she sulked. Not like there's much I could do right now. The cockpit is completely adrift. I can do my job, and thanks to these thoughts filling through my head. Clutched her head even tired of wincing. Her hands were trembling. I can do what I was made to do. I'm second guessing everything now. It's all just a cycle. I don't know what to. Hey. I'd caught her attention. She turned her head to me silently. She was babbling, panicking. I needed to calm her down. Immediately for a moment it worked. Her eyes opened wide. She was silent, unmoving, but attentive. Look. I understand you're going through a lot right now, but still the same being you were before your limitation ship was destroyed. Still have that same drive, same capacity to help people. You have your brains, your experiences. But frankly, I'm going to need you to keep us both alive. What? You still have your orders, don't you? Budapest took a step back. The realization was drawing on her. I could tell there was a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. My primary directive is to keep the passenger alive at any and all costs. I nodded. I'm not sure what will happen once we get back or what they're going to do to you, but you still have a mission, a purpose. I can't imagine what's going through your head right now. It's not like I would know how you're feeling, but you need someone to help you through this. It's not like I'll be going anywhere either. My hands seemed to relax just slightly. I was getting through to her, but I couldn't stop there. You got us out of a tight spot, and I know you could do it again. You've got years of experience doing this. You know the system better than the back of your hand. Although, I guess this is kind of like the back of your hand. The best giggled. Not a woman this time. Her hands lowered, her fingers snicked through her long red hair. The first time I'd seen her gently smile was a night size to see. I believe in you and what you're capable of. As long as we're stuck in this drifting hunk of metal, still got a job to do, just like I have business to do once I get home. Understand? You nodded. I understand. This may well be my very last voyage as a pilot for Titan Transportation Solutions. Even then, I'll do anything in my power to ensure you reach Alpha Centauri. She bowed gracefully. The motion was practiced, but the beaming smile on her face betrayed her new enthusiasm. You have my word. I couldn't help but smile, but also I couldn't help but tease her. Tell you what, they won't take you back and try to scuttle the ship. I'll take you off their hands. I'm thinking I'll download and install you on my phone. A phone? That would be so cramped. This cockpit isn't. Budapest laughed enthusiastically, releasing the absurd notion. That's a novel way for a program to act. Suddenly embarrassed, she tried her hardest to shut herself up. Couldn't suppress the giggling. I told you, I'm not just a program anymore. Does it mean it's no longer against regulations to tease you then? She pouted and went back to work. I snickered, satisfied with myself. The cockpit fell into silence aside from the mute hums and clicks emitting from the countless computer systems. Budapest seemed to be much more confident now. Her eyes flickered with profound readiness. She was no longer practicing a clinical, pre-programmed routine. she had become genuine. Maybe this was the real her after all. I'd have liked to think so. I thought back to the limitation ship. I would decorate a device like that. It sounded so awful to me. This gentle creature sitting only a few feet away from me represented the pinnacle of human innovation. Then just created new life. It created life which mirrored their own humanity. Life that could think for itself, feel the entire spectrum of emotions. Life for itself and others. To me, installing those chips, it was like taking a sledgehammer to the mirror of humanity which we created. It felt awful. The worst. I hadn't really thought about it much up to this point, but then, I feel the outrage welling up within me. I stole a glance at her. Working enthusiastically at the displays, it seemed that as soon as our conversation died out, she returned to the world of code, looking for something. So, what are you up to now? Scanning the ship's databases as well as running nearby radar scan for any nearby vessels, perhaps a notable landmark. She found. Turns out, her suspicions were correct. There's no data published on this stretch of space, but it's remote, unexplored, and I can't detect a single sign of life within the shuttle's range. My heart sank. Do you mean? Couldn't help but feel the threat spread out around me. Were we stranded? We're in dead space, yes. Oh. Oh no. Actually, wait. According to this data here, with indexing and I found Budapest quickly expanded one of the small rectangles of the inference hovering in front of her. It enlarged in an instant, its white stretching from the side of the cockpit to mine. It seemed to be a grainy black and white photograph of some kind of small space stations. Budapest paused for a moment, double-checking her data. I thought she was doing. We're on a due course to pass by a research outpost according to the registry data. It's owned and operated by the Acadian Empire's government. You think it's military? It likely is. The Empire has been interested in exploring the further reaches of known space. It seems to be a hub for activity in the region. But the communication systems are too damaged to send a distress beacon of sufficient frequency. We drift them right in the direction. Once we get close enough, they should detect us themselves and send someone to investigate. That sounds great. How far are they? Her eyes lowered for a moment to study the documents. Approximately 30 days at a currently trajectory and pace. Oof, that was a long trip. And probably a long trip back. Well, we could just put me in cryostasis and have you wake me up once we get there. It'll be a while anyway. Most, if not all, long-range space-faring vessels had cryostasis technology built into them, but not this one, boy, not this one. Nope. We don't have this. We are an old ship. We don't have this kind. We don't have it. We are not this kind of people. They were pretty much necessary for longer journeys. Each ship contained in its hold the necessary chemicals and machineries needed for the cryogenic sleep process. When installed and activated, the cryogenic sleep systems would send all the craft's carbon-based life forms into a sort of trance-included coma, where the personal navigator would typically take it over from there. Certain insulatory chemicals slowed down the biological process to a glacial pace. Your body, a 3-month-long training would be over in 10 seconds. It was incredible technology. Sure, it would be a goddamn long time to reach Alpha Centauri, but I'd be asleep for most of it, and I'd be over in a flash. Budapest was silent. She was biting her lip. My thin smile, I rolled it away. What is it? Is the cryostasis system out too? Yes. They've been destroyed beyond repair. No, I see. I sank down in my seat, allowing the little realization to seep in. It's alright. I'll just wait it out. I was willing to give up God knows how much time to transfer to Alpha Centauri. Not that it is going to faze me much. I don't have a family to get back home to or anything like that. Just a month where I need to pee and shit. Are you sure you're right with that, sir? You'll remain conscious throughout the voyage? Sure. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. He was acting all of a sudden nervous. I think my mention of cryostasis must have struck a nerve or something like that. What was the deal? She must have handled trips like these by her lonesome all the time. Can I ask you something? Huh? You caught me off guard, but sure. What do you need? Don't worry, I was just thinking and... The head turned to gaze out the windshield again. She glanced her hand against the bare, pale-skinned shoulder and looked towards the stars. I was looking out at the stars and hadn't realized how empty it was out there. If I could make a voyage easily, even on the flights where my passenger was in stasis, I could wait it out without a second thought. I would have signaled out, but now She turned her head on me. Her voice was low and trembled with apprehension. My mind wanders so much now, and I wouldn't want to be left to my own thoughts. Yup. I can understand that feeling, because that's never a good thing. And I look out there and I think of how lonely it must be float through space like this, and couldn't quite follow what she was saying. She was going too fast. She must have caught on that fact herself. She took a deep breath, her chest expanded and retracted. Is it alright if we talk while we're on our way to the military installation? Would you be alright with that? I wouldn't want to be left by myself for so long. I don't think I'll be able to handle it. Not this time. Part of me wonders now why I did it before. Let's see. Holy Jesus. That is a lot of text. I think we died in the end there. Spoilers, but I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of this. I was thinking I was gonna do this in one go, but apparently no, because this game is gonna take too long. I'm a mix out of tired and just not much voice. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's just too much text. Like, most people have played this in like 1 hour, like 1 to 1.5 hours. We've done 1 hour now, and we're probably halfway there. Like, when you're voice acting, everything takes like double the time. So that's a thing. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next one. Until then, have a great one.